Yo, what is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Bringing Back Bottas. Yes, it's been a while. It's been, I think, almost a month since the last one, but I'm back, doing another episode, and I'm going to try and keep this series alive. I just released one of my league races, a video on that a few days ago, and now back to this Bringing Back Bottas episode. I think we're about 70 points behind Hamilton still. So we're still a long way back. And in the last episode, if you remember, it was in Monza. We started from the back of the grid because we took engine penalties and we managed to get ourselves all the way up in the P2. And it was a bit of a damage limitation race. I think we only lost 8 points in the end to Hamilton, which is not bad considering we took the engine penalties. But here we are in Q1 in Russia. We get 10th in Q1. Not ideal. You didn't feel too safe. And as you could come down here, we're only 4 tenths away from the drop. But we did just one lap and we stuck with it. And we got through in one set of tyres, thankfully. And coming out in Q2, we are going to go out in the mediums. We're going to try and qualify in the mediums, give ourselves that advantage with the tyre choice, as most people around us will start on the softs. And coming down into turn one, you can see that's nice and smooth. And Q1 is always rusty for me because I don't do too much practice before I go into these qualifyings. So Q1 and Q2, they're kind of me learning the track in some sense and still figuring out my braking zones and just becoming more comfortable with it. And but in Q2, it was all clicking together on these mediums. I was doing well, go a little too far back there. As we come across, kind of recover it, almost lose the car, the back end there, but we correct it. And coming around these final couple of turns, it feels like it's a decent lap as we get really close to the apex there, and it's a 1:31.6, which is 6 tenths faster than our Q1 on the softs, and we do stick it through, and it's comfortably through to Q3. We got through on the mediums. Hamilton's gone through on the softs, so we're looking at hopefully a potential pole here, especially as we need to get clawing back some points on Hamilton, as there's only 7 races left to go this season, including this one. So in Q3, you see that coming out of turn 1 and 2. Or turn 2 and 3, should I say. Almost lose the car, but we just about catch it. And we continue on with our lap. Thankfully, we didn't lose it, because if we go into the wall there, we're starting P10. But round in the last corner, it's going to be a 1:31.1. Not a bad time. But as you can see, half a tenth behind Hamilton. And Lando Norris is currently on provisional pole. So like he was in Russia in real life, Lando Norris is up there for a potential pole. So, yeah, we know we lost a lot of time here in turn 2 and 3. So as we go through, we're going to go too deep again, and we're going to go over the same bump and lose more time. So just like we did in the first run, we make the same mistake in the second run, and now we really have to push it to find the time. I don't think our first run was that great, especially through the middle sectors. You can see us going wide, really trying to push. We're losing time in that aspect. But yeah, not ideal. Thankfully, I'm running regular corner cuts settings, because if I was running strict, I'll get penalties for days. I'll be pushing it too much. But as we come around, it's looking okay so far this lap. You got to remember track evolution. This corner I always find so difficult, but you can see I stuck it nice into the apex. I was able to get away quick. That corner, if you go too deep, you're going to lose so much time. So thankfully I was able to get it through. And as you come through the last 2 corners, you can see I'm about 5 tenths up on my delta, which should be enough for pole, and it turns out it is enough for pole. And you can hear Jeff there giving me the congratulations, and that's when I know I've done enough. And you can see here, Lewis Hamilton couldn't even get in the front row. We got Lando Norris up in the front row with us, so Hamilton couldn't improve on his time. We've managed to go 4 tenths quicker than Lando Norris, so we've got the pace around here, and hopefully we can win this race.
One of 8 cities in the world to play host to both the Olympics and a Formula One race. It's a Grand Prix that's proven difficult to crack for anyone beyond the first 2 rows of the grid in recent years, so let's see if that can change today. Off the back of a fantastic qualifying session, it's time to see how our starting grid looks for today's race. It's Mercedes in pole position then, and Lando Norris lines up alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Carlos Sainz, and Fernando Alonso. Gasly, Tsunoda, Ocon, and Antonio Giovinazzi. Hamilton, Vettel, Kimi Raikkonen and Verstappen. They've taken a grid penalty. Stroll, Russell, Daniel Ricciardo and Nicholas Latifi. Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head to trackside for today's race.
So as you can see in that grid lineup, Hamilton has taken a penalty for this race and he'll be starting P10, which is perfect for us because we're starting from pole and this is our chance to really claw some of those points back. That we need to get back as quick as possible because we've only got about 6-7 more races to do this. So as 5 red lights are on, we are underway in the Russia GP in Sochi and we get a decent start. But Norris up beside us gets a much better start on the softs. He gets better traction off the line, but with the slipstream up behind him we are able to get some speed and go up the inside. We have Perez all over the back of us, and going into turn 2 and turn 3 we come out on top and we take the lead of the Russia GP. And we've got Lando Norris behind us with Perez on the softs, and we've got Leclerc starting on the mediums as well. And as we go over here, we go too deep into that corner, and that's going to give Norris the chance with the run arse. He's going to get on the inside. Norris at the inside, we give him the room as we try and stick it around the outside, but Lando Norris takes back the lead of the Russia GP, just like he did in real life. Is this going to be another fairy tale story for him? And you can see now he's definitely got it. But coming down the next straight, we know we've got the speed and the Mercedes engine, but we just can't seem to click it together these first few corners. The softs are obviously a lot faster around here, but we are making mistakes early on in this first lap. And coming down into the, I don't know what the turns are, but we are not going to get the run on Norris, and we're going to be stuck behind him, which is not ideal. But it's obviously not the worst thing either. If we can stick in the DRS range, you can see there, I am fighting with the car. But on lap 2, you can see Lewis Hamilton, he's dropped all the way down to 12th, and he's fighting with Sebastian Vettel in 11th. And he's got to fight his way up through these cars in order to get some points back on us. And you can see he's going to try and go around the outside of Sebastian Vettel here, going into turn 2. And it looks like he's got the move done, coming into this long left-hander. Can he stick it round, or is Sebastian Vettel going to keep fighting him? Vettel, he stays in front. They're side by side still. They've been side by side the whole lap as Sebastian Vettel comes down. I wish I knew the turn corners. It'd be much easier for me, but they are side by side racing around this track. Looks like Hamilton's finally got him. But as we come up and we see this different angle, Vettel is still hanging in there. He is not letting Lewis Hamilton get past easily, and all while this is happening, Giovinazzi's creating that gap between Hamilton. There's 2 seconds between them now, so all this fighting is just holding them up, and it looks like Vettel has got the inside. Can Vettel hold it? No, Hamilton sticks around the outside, and with the Mercedes power engine you'd expect him to be able to get ahead, but the Aston Martin is fighting him all the way. Sebastian Vettel gets the inside of this next turn, and he's got Hamilton again. Vettel is fighting this way more than he should. There's almost a 3-second gap between Hamilton and Gio now. And you think now Hamilton's got the job done? No, he hasn't. He loses the car a bit on the exit. And Vettel is the one to get ahead. So after a whole lap of side-by-side racing between Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel, Hamilton couldn't even get the move done. So Vettel is still ahead of Hamilton going on to lap 3. And they've lost so much time to the front pack. But coming down this main straight, you think now he's got to get it with the slipstream and the DRS. Now got DRS, Hamilton's going to go around the outside of Sebastian Vettel, and he's going to get it done before the braking zone. And finally Lewis Hamilton gets his job done. And he's up in the P11 and can start the chase back to the top 10 to try and get as many points as he can in this race. And it's damage limitation for him as we are fighting for a race win. On to lap 5, we are still struggling to get past Lando Norris, but now we are close enough with the ERS and the DRS now open. We're going to be able to get a run on Lando Norris. It should be an easy overtake. We go down the inside, but we're going to get past him before the braking zone. So we're able to get back on the racing line. And now, ahead of the McLaren driver, we can start to get away. I think our biggest threat right now is Leclerc, because he's on the same strategy as us, and he is only a few seconds behind. But once we got past Lando Norris, he's now getting held up by the soft tyre runners. We're struggling in the tyres a little more because the degradation around here is pretty fast. So we're about 5 seconds ahead, and this is looking like a comfortable drive now. It doesn't look like Leclerc's going to be too much of an issue. He's 5.5 seconds behind. So it's all about just getting through this race. We're on lap 10, and you can see there's a 9-second gap to Leclerc, 10 seconds to Perez. And we're looking comfortable. As you see, there's a little twitchy moment coming out of turn 3. And coming around this fast left-hander, we just get on the throttle, and we lose it. We just get way too confident, way too comfortable, and we've lost it. And that 10-second gap that we had on Leclerc is now dropping down, and all of a sudden it's going to be a 2-second, 1-second gap. And our rears are on fire, as you can see, 104 degrees, 103 degrees. And we're going to have to be careful for the rest of this lap. Try and cool those rears down so we can get the grip back. And we're only a second ahead of Leclerc, and he's only going to get closer while we try and cool these tyres down, because they are heating up. We can't seem to get the grip on the track, and I'm scared of losing the rears and spinning again. And if I spin again, we are really in big trouble. So this race went from being an easy drive, you know, a nice Sunday drive, to now Leclerc being 7 tenths behind us, and a race win is not as easy as we first thought. And now we're going to have to fight for this. And coming down here, 6 tenths, 5 tenths, Leclerc is just closing down as we're cooling down the tyres. Our tyres are almost back to where they should be, and now we've just made our job a lot harder for ourselves. And you can see in the mini-map, I think Hamilton is still down in like 8th or 9th position, so he is not having the best race of his life either. He had to start in the softs because that's what he qualified from Q2 with. So Hamilton won't be an issue for us in the race win, but he will be getting some decent points if he can work his way through that field. But now we're pulling away from Charles Leclerc a little bit. But coming on to lap 12, you can see he's closed that gap, and he's managed to stay inside the DRS range. And coming down here, he's going to think about a move. No, he's not. Yes, he is. He sticks his car up the inside. I mean, I was shocked by that. I did not expect it, but I had to leave him some room. Otherwise, his front wing was coming off, and I could have been spinning. And he is all over the back of us. He's getting better exits and just finding his way through. We are defending for our lives. Look, we have to defend down here as well, coming into the last 2 corners. Charles Leclerc is all over the back of us. A Ferrari fighting us. You can see Carlos Sainz down in 16th. And the Ferrari's what, 4th, 5th best car on this? And they're giving me the toughest challenge out of anyone. So Leclerc is really putting up a fight, but down the straight, even with his DRS, if we put on all our ERS, he can't catch us. The Ferrari just doesn't have the same power that we do. But it's quite interesting how the Ferrari can keep up, but a McLaren or a Red Bull in the softs, they just don't feel as quick as what they should. But coming into the pits on lap 16, Leclerc comes in with us. And you can see Perez, Gasly, Norris, they've all pitted behind us. And it's going to be interesting to see where we come out. And yeah, Gasly's up in a P4. He's had a stormer of a race. So as we come out of the pits, can we stay ahead of Leclerc? Yes, we can. He has a little slower pit stop, I think. But coming round the final turn now is Perez and Pierre Gasly. And you're going to see us coming out of the pits on the far side. And you can see Perez has got the jump on us on the mediums, but we're going to slot in just ahead of Gasly with Leclerc. Looks like he's going to fight with Gasly and Norris. He comes in just behind Gasly, and he's going to be fighting with Norris for that P4. Norris, his tyres are up to temperature. Leclerc, you can see he's trying to go around the outside over here. Leclerc on the soft tyre, Norris on the mediums. He managed to get the job done, and that was important for Leclerc. If he gets stuck behind Norris, we should be able to run away with this. But Gasly is all over the back of us. So we need to stay ahead of Gasly and try and get past Perez as soon as possible. If we can get past Perez, we should be able to win this race, because Leclerc is closing in on behind us. He got past Gasly pretty quick, but we cannot find a way past Perez just yet. As we come around this corner onto the DRS straight, we're thinking of getting ahead, and all of a sudden my game just freezes. I'm like, what's going on? And it just comes back when I'm confused, almost going to the wall. Luckily, I managed to save it and not go into the wall. But we've lost a position to Leclerc that way. And you can hear Jeff telling me to focus, like I had anything to do with that. My bloody screen throws, for God's sake. So I had no chance. And yeah, so now we dropped down in a P3. Leclerc, who's our biggest rival, is up in a P2. And we are in trouble. Leclerc is pushing on Perez, and we're struggling to keep up. We're struggling to keep pace. With only 9 laps to go, we need to make sure we are staying within DRS range of Leclerc. And if he makes a move past Perez, we have to get past as soon as possible. And coming down into turn 2, you're going to see it. He's going to give it a go on Perez. He's going to go around the outside. Is he going to be able to make the move stick? We're going to see if we can pick up any scraps. Can we get past as well as Leclerc gets through on Perez? What are we going to do? Coming around this long left-hander. We know what happened last time. We lost the back end and skid out, so we lift off on the throttle a little bit. We're not as brave on the throttle as Perez and Leclerc are. But we now need to get past Perez within the next lap or two to have a chance of winning this race. Otherwise, Leclerc is just going to run away with it. We need to stay as close as we can to him. So coming up, we're just pounding down on Perez, trying to find a place to overtake. And all the meanwhile, Leclerc has already pulled a second out on us. So yeah, we need to get the DRS down here, and we're going to try and make the move down here with the ERS open. Can we make the move with the fastest car on the grid? We should be able to close up just in time with the slipstream. We're going to go down the inside of Perez. We brake, but Perez brakes a little later. We go over the bump. We make a little bit of contact, but we stick around the outside. Perez still on the inside, and we can't make the move stick. So with that little battle, we lose another second on Leclerc. We're going to see if we can get a better exit out here, but we're going to have to wait until the main straight. Perez won't have DRS on Leclerc, but we will have DRS, and it should then be a simple overtake on the Red Bull. But all while this is happening, we've lost about 3 seconds to Leclerc, and that's all because my game froze. You know, if that wasn't the case, we get past Perez before Leclerc, and we go win this race. But no, nothing is simple here in Russia. So eventually we get past Perez, and now we've got to find. We've got to close that 2-second gap down to Leclerc within 7 laps. And you can see a lap later we're already within DRS range, and I think that's just the how much better the Mercedes is to the Ferrari. So for Leclerc to be doing such a great race, you can see I make a dive down and just completely miss my braking point, and we lose half a second there, and all of a sudden we're out of DRS again. So I'm making this race a lot harder than it should have really been. If we didn't spin around that fast left-hander, we would be about 10 seconds clear right now, 15 seconds clear, and this would have been the easiest race of my life, and probably the most boring to commentate. But that's not the case. We decided to spin out, my game decided to freeze, and all of a sudden, with 5 laps to go, we're in 2nd place, battling for the race win against a Ferrari. So coming down this straight, we're going to get DRS. We've got all that ERS, because our ERS is so good, we don't lose it anymore. So coming down into turn 1, turn 2 is going to be a simple overtake on Leclerc. And now, we hope we can get away from him, use our ERS, and really use the speed of the Mercedes, so we don't have to worry about losing 7 points to a Ferrari. That could be crucial come the end of the season, because every point counts, especially when you're so many points behind Hamilton. With only 6 races left after this, we need to make sure we get maximum points possible at every race. And you can see I've gone wide again, just like I did in lap 1 against Lando. I go wide again, and now Leclerc's going to go down the inside. We give him the room, they're racing, but we don't want to give him the position. But with 3 laps to go, he's going to get the position. He's got the inside, he's got it on us, and now we've just got to stay close enough, and we should be able to get him back on the DRS straight. But we are making this as hard as we can for ourselves. We've got to stick close. With the ERS, you see, it's always at 90 plus because our ERS is upgraded that much on this Mercedes car. But coming down here on the DRS straight, it's going to be another simple overtake just because we have that straight line speed on the Ferrari. And we get the inside, and we get the move done before the break is over. You can see Leclerc, he's all over the back of us. He's braking a lot later than us, and almost went right into the rear wing of our car. And when a car is following you this close, you get a bit nervous. Especially with the AI in this game, you don't know whether they're going to bump you, spin you out, because they're not the most reliable. But coming around these last 2 corners, we have enough of a gap. And you'd think with his DRS he might have a chance, but no, our ERS and our exit speed is too much for him. And he just doesn't stand a chance, because with our ERS we can just deploy it all the way. And we just pull away from him. You can see all the way 2-3 tenths there. So coming on to the last lap, all we have to do is just stay ahead of Leclerc and bring the car home. There's one more real chance where he's going to get when he's going to have a chance of overtaking, and he was not close enough until he made that mistake, and now he's close enough. He's within 2-3 tenths. So Leclerc, if he stays close enough and gets a good exit out of here, he could win this race. Can we get a good enough exit? We get a good exit and we chuck on that ERS, and he's not going to get the chance because we have all that ERS. But could he? He is only 2 tenths behind. He's got the ERS. It doesn't look like he's close enough. So we brake early. We cover off the inside just in case, but he goes darting down the outside. It almost makes the move stick, but it was too late on the brakes. I mean, that was going to be Daniel Ricciardo-esque if he pulled that off. We were safe on the brakes, and then I see him darting down the outside, and I'm like, Jesus, I might have made a mistake here. But we just about hang on here in Sochi. Going around the final corner, we're going to take the race win. Wow. And you can hear Bottas's reaction on the radio, but wow.
Just fantastic. You deserve that race win.
We made that a lot harder than it should have been, but it's a win nonetheless, and it's more points on Lewis Hamilton in the Drivers' Championship fight.
Well, today we've witnessed some great battles here in Sochi, and they've taken a fantastic win. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
And I can see the drivers starting to approach the podium for the victory celebrations. A real team victory today. Everybody played their part. Congratulations then to Mercedes, your race winners today.
There we have it, another win for Bottas in this series, and it's at one of his favourite places as well, where he won his first ever race with Mercedes in Russia, in Sochi. And that is 26 points as well, because we managed to get the fastest lap. And you can see that Hamilton down in 5th place. That is 16 points we've gained on him. So it's been a very good weekend for us, for us, Bottas. And we are now only 53 points behind Hamilton. I believe there's 6 races left to go. You can still see I'm still 22 points behind Verstappen, so don't forget about him. He is still in this championship fight, especially with the updates now. So the Red Bull is faster. But yeah, so we're 53 points behind Hamilton, and we are pushing him to the limit and trying to get as close as we can. Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.